Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brian's podcast. This one here I experienced somewhat when my first marriage, when I was a young man, and my ex-wife accused me of beating the children and on our divorce. And therefore, she got all this power. I had supervision, visiting supervision, and then the court system seen it was ridiculous, and they just dropped it. What happened to the false, the lying? If somebody lies like that, are they not responsible? I guess back then in 1985, you're not. They should have been, because that's reporting a false statement, and that's supposed to be a federal offense. But in this video, it's got its own little twist to things, where they use the children to charge both parents, which is private judging. And it's very ridiculous because it seems like they're more importantly, they want their retainers and they want to do continuances so they get more retainers. And I have experiences with lawyers. Lawyers love to tell you, well, you can get divorced, $1,500 will take care of it all. And then they do this little hop, skip, dance thing where they'll you email them, and they add up the cost. And it's an email, you read it and you respond. I mean, come on. But hugely, I was charged twice the amount and for my stuff, and he kept continuing things, and they dragged their feet, and that's how they make the money, because they drag their feet on stuff. So what I did was I brought in a friend of mine, and she dressed up as like a lawyer. And I accused him of a lot of this stuff, and I said, you said I would be divorced for $1,500, and look at you now. You want to charge $2,500, and you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing. We divided our stuff up. We made those agreements off to the side. We did everything. He did nothing. And this is what I'm saying. I experienced this stuff. So is it any of this? If anybody's going to say this is not a scam, I say, well, when it's done to you, you're going to get a rude awakening, because I had it done twice. But check out this video. Learn the system. They're scamming you and using your kids as cash, basically. They're charging outrageous prices about stuff. They're continuing. They're making you pay more money. Instead of, these guys are supposed to be professionals. They're supposed to know the law. They don't seem to know it. They just know about money. Here we go.
This is Susan Bousey. In this video, we take you back to a public family courtroom in Kentucky, where unlike California, cameras are allowed in courtrooms. Here, we address issues related to child custody and why, from coast to coast, we are seeing family courts become so dysfunctional it's hard for parents at the center of these cases to understand the costs, the delays, and most importantly, how without any criminal convictions, parents are being placed on supervised visitation and kept from their own children, as an army of attorneys, therapists, and individuals giving themselves titles such as special masters, parenting coordinators, friends of court, minors counsel, custody evaluators, and gals seemingly make up titles, words, and procedures few folks outside the court understand.
Oh, do I have Miss Russell still waiting? What case are you here on?
Judge, I thought I was here on Vanetta.
You're watching a trial court proceeding in family court related to a divorce case involving child custody disputes. The mother in the case is appearing remotely online, as is the friend of court, which is what they call an individual in Kentucky who provides recommendations and assistance to the court in deciding child custody disputes. The father in the case has been placed on supervised visitation, meaning he can only see his children for a few hours a week and only under the monitoring of a third party. He appealed that decision, and this is a hearing to discuss that appeal and what the judge should be doing to correct the wrongful orders that put the father on supervised visits.
Mr. Clayton is here in person. Ms. Venata is online. This was a reverse and remand from the Court of Appeals, and you all will need a hearing date to...
No, that's all I was questioning, the hearing date. The Court of Appeals didn't remand for a new hearing because there was no evidence of a new hearing from them, because there was, from the March 8th hearing, they found no evidence that no contact had been violated. So I understand what we need a new hearing for on that.
Ms. Russell, honestly, I haven't seen the Court of Appeals opinion. Are you...
When a public court judge or a parenting coordinator or private judge makes a ruling that doesn't follow the law or violates due process, individuals have a right to seek redress from the Court of Appeal. That means filing a number of legal motions and following legal procedures. And since 75% of individuals in family court have to represent themselves because they can't afford a lawyer, it is very rare for those individuals to take an appeal, because appeals are costly, time-consuming, and often protect the judge who has made the decision, claiming they have the discretion to do so. But here, the father has actually won the appeal of an order that put him on supervised visitation with his own children. And this process is dragging out for years, and the trial court judge, who the Court of Appeal judges said was wrong and didn't follow the law and violated the father's due process rights, well, she hasn't even read the appeal, saying she's wrong. But apparently the FOC has.
I did submit it. I did.
Yeah, he is correct. However, I was not really sure how to proceed, considering there's all of these. Judge, if you read the opinion is really bizarre. And I'm not sure they knew which order they were really reversing or not, because there was old information that they relied on, and they didn't really watch. I think they looked at two different hearings. I don't know what you want to do with it, Judge. I just think because there's motions to modify that have been pending while this appeal has been going on, that they might get a new hearing, or if you just wanted to do a reversal and revert back to the schedule that was prior to the... It's a very bizarre opinion, Judge, and I couldn't figure out what exactly they were reversing. I know it had something to do with the parenting schedule, but I don't know which. Yeah, I don't know which one it was.
Since we've had a substantive hearing on how everyone is doing, and the kids are older, and there's been changes in circumstances, so we will go ahead and need that hearing date. And Ms. Russell, are you able to still continue to be involved?
Costly delays in dysfunctional family courts, along with incompetent public court judges who don't read case files yet still claim to act in the best interests of children, are nothing new. These judges routinely delegate their responsibilities to attorneys, therapists, and in this case, an FOC, instead of doing the work themselves. Back in the 1990s here in California, parents protested outside courthouses and county buildings after a staggering number of them, particularly mothers, were losing child custody and being placed on supervised visitation with their own children. A month-long protests and sustained pressure on county elected officials, along with some media coverage, pushed Santa Clara County's presiding judge, Jack Comer, to issue a report acknowledging that judges have a non-delegable duty to decide child custody and visitation matters. He made it clear that these decisions should not be outsourced to special masters, parenting coordinators, or attorneys acting as private judges. Shortly after issuing that report, Jack Comer went to work for JAMS, the world's largest private judging, mediation, and arbitration firm.
I mean, I think these probably parties need to, because I need to talk with Brooke. There's all sorts of new allegations, and probably need to update. If we want to get a more correct hearing date that's going on that has everybody's information in it, yes, I think I need to be involved. I would just ask the parties to re-up their fees that they...
In Kentucky, cameras in courtrooms allow us to see if judges are competent and what they mean when they say they're acting in the best interests of children. It also allows us to see the cost of these proceedings on parents involved in the case. In California, where cameras are not allowed in courtrooms, you know from our last video that John Orlando acts as a custody evaluator, making recommendations much like this FOC, and for that he has charged parents $50,000 and more for each individual case. And Jessica Huey, acting as a parenting coordinator, she charges $500 an hour and asks parents to pay her a $5,000 retainer.
What's your required retainer that needs to be paid? And I'll get her out.
Yeah.
So I'll just.
Now, I'm sorry, if that can be instead of the GAL then, just to keep her, or are we thinking we would need that as well?
Ms. Vanetta has asked for a guardian ad litem, and I know Ms. Houston had asked for that as well, and both you and Ms. DeWeese had said, no, we have a friend of court, that is sufficient, and a GAL is an additional cost for sure. Both of these parties reach out to me sometimes, and I feel like they're asking me to do something like, and it sounds like filing a motion. And I explained to them I can't do that. It probably would be helpful in this case. I know you don't like to have two, but just based on my limited role, I think they may be tired of me saying, I can't do anything. I'm the friend of court.
Judges delegate their duties when they bring in friends of court or appoint gals or minors counsel. In California, Jessica Huey Gregg was appointed by family court judges in over 240 divorce and child custody cases. In those cases, she charges $500 an hour, and when parents can't pay her, taxpayers pay her fees. It's seen as a little favor that judges can give these attorneys when they can assure them employment and assure that their fees are going to get paid, because the children they're appointed to represent aren't allowed to fire them.
Right. Well, I don't think we need another voice.
Ms. Russell is sufficient.
Miss Russell, as long as she's paid, and it may be that this is not a flat rate case. This is one where you all are going to be paying for her time. So has there already been an order out that you be retained, or do I need to send something out on that?
Well, for every new thing that kind of comes up, once that retainer is expired, I just say re-up your retainer, and it's only $250. So, and they both re-upped. They both paid an initial one, and then re-upped prior to the last hearing, and then it looks like we're going to have another hearing. So yes, I would like them to each pay an additional $250.
Y'all can do that like this week or next week.
I'll however you want it, Ms. Russell, just let me know.
I appreciate your willingness.
Yeah.
Kids used as pawns for cash. Do you see that? They've paid quite a bit of money to this lady, and she just keeps scamming them and drawing it out because, we have to make sure all the paperwork is right and everything. The order's already been put in. They need to just follow the law.
I'd be happy to send them to Ms. Russell.
Yeah, and they're going to be shared. They can be kept confidential from their. They shouldn't be sent to a Courier Journal, or given to her neighbor. But for the court's purposes, for the parties, and our friend of court, absolutely. Re-up retainer and mental health records.
Both public and private judges have the power and the discretion to strip parents of child custody. In a single day, you could go from 50-50 custody after a divorce case has already been finalized to finding yourself on supervised visitation, where a third party is paid to monitor your interactions with your children a few hours a week. And the judge that has the discretion to strip you of custody also has the discretion to drag the case out, bringing in therapists, mental health providers, custody evaluators, friends of court, minors counsel, and even parenting coordinators, and ignoring the Court of Appeal along the way, meaning they can drag your case out for 3 years or more just to get custody back to where you were when they stripped it from you.
We were scheduled for what? Show cause.
Today was the show cause hearing for the preschool tuition he hadn't paid as well, and the December order you filed.
And I can look at it.
Mr.
You
Manning
may need
knows.
to go drop it off at, Miss Russell's office or something.
Okay, and
because-
Harrison's leaving.
My sister is in the courtroom today. If he can just hand that to her, she can get that to me. So
It's
I'm out of town.
$950. Is that everything that doesn't sound like everything you were owed, does it?
I sent the 400 the first time.
How much was it?
$950, but she left without taking that $450.
No, she took it.
She did?
He gave it to her in the hall.
No, the bailiff did stop me on the way out.
I seem to recall that she did not leave with the check that
No,
day. On the way out.
Your Honor,
Okay, so,
Your Honor, the bailiff did stop me on the way out.
okay, $950 plus $450. What else is still owing, ma'am? Or was that everything?
that was everything.
He says that was everything.
That was the preschool tuition.
Okay, so it sounds like you've purged yourself to the degree necessary, and we'll get an order out about the retainer, and we're splitting that equally. I think I recall mental health records will be shared, and we're going to get you all a hearing date. Now, I can send Ms. Vanetta and Ms. Russell to the breakout room. Are there any days of the week?
Your Honor, I have one more question. I don't know if you heard me, but my sister was present in the courtroom. Can she take that check from him?
Okay, can the sheriff get that too?
Where is she?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
just send it to me.
Okay, yeah, so before you leave, we'd like to see that. Okay, so are there any days of the week or times of day that are better or worse for you? Okay, so unless you want to log in, they're just going to select a hearing date without you, because I'm not going to let you go in the back because you're
No,
not
no.
an attorney. So do you want to log in and get a hearing date together, or do you want to just be notified of the date?
Just can't I always pronounce her name wrong. Can she just email me?
Okay, once
Or can I
she's
email
gonna-
her?
I don't think I want her to have to email. I mean, she emails you the date once it's
Yeah,
determined.
that's all I'm asking.
Or Miss Russell can do
Yeah,
that.
or that's
I'm sure she'd be happy to do that.
Yes.
Is this for the hearing date?
Yes, in Nevada.
Okay.
Mr. Vanetta, what days are you off? I feel like it's Mondays and Tuesdays.
It's Mondays, Sundays, and Saturdays.
Okay.
But I'll make whatever day work. It really doesn't matter. I've
Okay.
personal time to.
So Monday if possible, but you'd rather
Yeah.
be sooner
Yes.
and take off a day.
Yes.
If you have
I have
a couple
yes.
months notice,
Yes,
you
Your
get
Honor.
coverage. Okay.
We'll try to find a Monday. Thank you, Judge.
All right, appreciate you all. And I see there's a 902-5900 voting.
Up next, we're going to report on the difference between disqualifying a public and a private court judge when they act with incompetence and bias.
So I wanted you to see firsthand of what the system does to the parents. I mean, in the 1990s, like they said, women came out and protested because it was being done to them. And I applaud them for that. Men are being done to also, and everybody needs to stand up to the system. That all it is, if you actually listen to us all they talked about basically is retainers and monies. They're holding the child. They're using the child as a pawn against the parents for cash. And this is the system. This is horrifying. They want to intervene all these therapists and all this stuff that they just make up out of the freaking blue and inject them to prolong and cost you shitloads more money. I mean, who are these people? They think they're over it. They got this huge ego because they got this title, and now they think they're entitled over you, and to control you. Fear me. I am the judge. I mean, I see judges do this all the time. Well, they'll sit there and scold somebody, and they'll turn around and be doing the same thing that they're being convicted for. And this is where the entitlement is. What egos are on these people? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what makes them smarter than everybody else? It's impossible. It's impossible. I guarantee you, there's a lot more smart people that's been brought before them, and they put them through the ringer. I compare it like this. I went to college, and I quit and got out of college because it was such a waste of time. I was going as an auto mechanic. And when I went into auto mechanic, I had to take a couple classes of family classes where you hold hands and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They put these other things into your college education and you're not really learning shit. So guess what? I learned more by going on YouTube, and because I can think for myself now, because at college, they only inject into you what they want you to learn. When you go on YouTube and you put in, I want to change injectors in my diesel truck or whatever the case is. If you put that in there, you get multiple videos of shortcuts, how to do it, and it's so easy. And you learned it like, bam, like nothing, quick, and you go out and you do it. You go to college, they take all your money, and ask anybody who went through college, they still paying on their college. It's a scam. People that went to college don't want to admit to that. Okay, whatever. But I went to college, and I learned after 6 months, what a scam. I mean, look at it. I've coached football at high schools for over 12 years. And for some reason, they don't want, you can't be a head coach unless you are in the system as far as working for them. So I started doing janitor work. They still didn't do it because they lied. The worst thing is you have to go get a college education to be a PE teacher. Now, I went through PE. Everybody has. What the hell do you think you need to go to college for from what you learned in PE class? It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's a scam. That's what I'm saying. I just think it's funny because when you grow up, they groom you to learn in school, go to college. They're telling you what to do for these scams so the system gets paid. And then you know what? After college, go work and be a slave and work for 10 to 12 hours and just all of a sudden your life is in front of your eyes. Because I know for a fact, I worked 20 years in a warehouse. I love the job. I love the people I worked with. But my life was all about working, bringing money, and it took me out of the family functions. I made money. I raised my family with this, granted, but it's a slave system because, your kids are basically being raised without you. Not everybody sees it like this, but I'm the old type where my father, he worked 8 hours a day at Fisher Body. My mom stayed home and raised us, but my dad was, he not only worked 8 hours, but he would farm the land around our home. He would go roofing houses, and us kids helped him. I mean, he had a life. Nowadays, ask yourself, do you really have a life? Because inflation's like, and your pay is, but who gets paid? It's the judges, the lawyers. They have things they can do that you can't afford to do, and that's why they love it. The system should never be this way. There shouldn't even be a system. But you have to realize who's running the country before you can figure this out, right? Hey, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and spread this. We need everybody to learn these things so you can open your eyes to it rather than fall face first into it. Love you.